genuine stories, empowering horse people. This is Horses Hope and Hustle.
The phrase all in and putting our chips on the table and saying we're going for it. I mean, that's the point in time I think of. And yeah, like I was saying, we were in the truck on our way to Billings in February with a brand new baby. We just lived in Wyoming for 10 days at that point, and we're trying to buy horses on credit. And it had to work out. There was no going back. And I think it was really bold of us, but I think that it helped us quite a bit in being able to make these kind of calculated, risky decisions. But I mean, yeah, it was our Hail Mary. Like, this, we're on our own. This is going to work out one way or another. And it did. So.
If you're a horse person on Facebook, I'm betting you have seen Legacy Horse Company promoting their horses. I'm thankful to have sat down with Johnny and Mariah Jerviss of Legacy Horse Company to talk about how they started from scratch, found their niche, and the risks that they took in building their legacy. Let's dive in. Welcome back, listeners, to another episode of Horses Hope and Hustle. I'm very excited today to have Mariah and Johnny Jerviss of Legacy Horse Company join us here today. Thank you guys so much for taking the time. I know you're busy, so I really appreciate coming on today.
No, we were excited.
Yeah.
We've been listening.
I love that. I love that so much. I have seen you guys on Facebook for years before we actually bought a horse from you. And so it's been really cool to like be that creepy little stalker, just like I kind of know those guys.
Well, I'm glad somebody's putting in the effort to watch, because the social media was a hard thing for me to learn how to do and to keep up on. I did not think that would be such a hard hitter.
It's a full-time job.
It is.
It is.
Yeah. I love that. So, all right, let's go back. Do you guys want to kind of introduce yourselves and where, we were just talking about this, where you're from and where you are now, and a little bit about Legacy Horse Company?
Sure. So I'm Mariah Jerviss. I'm originally from upstate New York, and I had family in Johnny's hometown, and that's actually how we met as adults. After getting married, we moved to Wyoming and then Dewey. But Legacy Horse Company itself, the name derived when we were kind of trying to figure out what it was that we were hoping to do with our lives. And at that point, we were talking about kids. We were talking about what life looked like as a big picture. And that's where the term legacy came into it. So we were like, well, it doesn't really matter. Whatever it is that we're building, we're trying to build something for our family to come. So, and then Johnny.
I'm Johnny Jerviss. I'm from Oakview, California, originally. And Mariah and I met in 2013, like she was saying. Her grandmother lived the next street over from where I lived at, and was having a birthday party. And I was working for an accountant at the time. I went to school for business and accounting and was working in a CPA tax office. It was March, so middle of tax season. And my mom bugged me. You got to meet Mariah. You got to meet Mariah. And just to shut her up, I went over to Mariah's grandma Jean's birthday party, and we met and hit it off. And I asked her to go on a date with me, and she told me no. And she messaged me a few days later and took me up on the offer. And yeah, so I think the horses, we both had that passion at the time. Didn't really have a direction like we do today with it, but I mean, yeah, it turned into Legacy Horse Company and what it is now. And yeah, the name Legacy, we just, like Mariah had said, wanted a family, wanted something that lasts, and needed to brand ourselves. And I don't know, it just kind of fit. So
yeah, I love that. Thank goodness for Mariah's mom, or whoever's mom and grandma Jean then.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
If it weren't, so after I told him no to that initial date, it was my grandma Jean that actually vouched for him and told me that he was a pretty good guy and that I should give him a shot. So
thanks, Grandma Jean.
Grandma Jean's really the start all end all to the whole story.
Oh my goodness. That is awesome. I love that. So what were you guys doing with horses before you guys met?
So I grew up in upstate New York in Saratoga Springs. It's a racetrack town. So I have kind of racetrack and English beginnings of all things. And at the time when we met, I was actually traveling from New York to Florida and back with the racehorses seasonally. And I had decided that that wasn't something that I wanted to do long term. It wasn't anything that really fit my lifestyle or personality. And I had always ridden stock horses a little bit. My grandmother showed some horses with Teddy Robinson, and she lived out in California. And so when I had made the decision to move out that way and kind of pursue that a little bit more, I kind of changed directions entirely and really kind of focused myself on a stock horse. They were always there in the background, and I just decided I wanted them to be the main focus. So when I got out to California is when Johnny and I got together, and we really kind of just started doing a little bit of everything. So, but my horse background is a little bit ambiguous because it kind of skipped a generation. I had to work pretty hard to get into it because my mom and my dad, bless their hearts and every bit of opportunity that they gave me, but they are not horsey at all. They don't do horses, they don't ride horses, but they tried their best to give me the opportunities that I could have. And my grandma Jean is actually the one who has the horse bug before me. So again, she's a big part of our origin story.
That's awesome. How about you, Johnny?
I always grew up around horses. My parents had horses and would go on the ETI trail rides, and kind of just, I got drug around to a bunch of the horsemanship clinics. All the clinicians would come and host a clinic at the Thatcher School there. My mom hosted Brian Newbert. Buck would come to town, and I was just a kid, and we got drug around to those things. Got to ride in a few of them. I had no idea what was in front of me or what was being presented at the time. We were just goofing off, playing with the other kids, and like I said, once in a while riding in it. But as I got a little bit older, it became more interesting to me, and then kind of just rode, like I said, just rode and had horses. My parents would take us horse camping and stuff like that, and we'd go out there in the mountains and just have a good time. And my parents started buying and selling some horses a little bit, and I got to go with them, go to some horse sales and go to different ranches and stuff, just looking at horses to buy, and got exposed and got to see a lot of that side of the business. At the time, I was just kind of there as a tag along. I didn't really have a choice, but again, it just kind of developed, and I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life, but before Mariah and I had met, and had bought a couple of horses and kind of rode them and sold them a little bit. And then when we got together, we just hit it off really good. We had that. There was never any question about, oh, what do you want to do today or this weekend or anything. It was always going to be something with the horses. And we did just same deal, just would buy some horses and kind of ride them and go to selling them. So
that's so cool. For those who don't know yet, tell us a little more about what Legacy Horse Company looks like today.
So today we are primarily a training and sales company. We have a heavy focus on the younger horses,
3-year-olds.
Yearling to 3-year-olds. We're a pretty big colt program now. And we also offer some of the aged show horses. And it kind of came about that way from our origins in the beginning to where we would, ride and sell some aged horses. And it just got to the point where, and I think everybody hits this point where you ride enough horses to where you're like, I was starting to get frustrated with the aged horses that we were buying because I couldn't understand why X, Y, and Z, those buttons on the keyboard that I expected to be there just weren't. Mm-hmm. And so Johnny and I started buying a couple of colts here and there to start and ride and kind of put our own polish on them, and we ended up liking those horses better. And so it got to the point where we just really appreciated having that younger slate to start with because we could figure out exactly what we wanted them to be and work towards that. And it got to, that way you're not dealing with somebody else's baggage. You're not dealing with, from day one, I know what that horse is doing. And that kind of grew it into the business it is today, because people started sending us colts to start, outside colts also. And so it just kind of accidentally grew.
Like 2016, we got around some people and were able to develop our horsemanship a little bit and figured out how to start some colts of our own. And it was interesting for me, especially. I liked it. I enjoyed doing it. I know I had no idea what I was doing at the time on the first few of them, and bless those horses for letting me learn. But it was something that we could put kind of an identity to ourselves. Like, what do you do? And it's like, oh, we just buy and sell horses. Well, we can start some colts now and offer those younger horses in our program. And when COVID hit, all the aged horses that you'd want to buy, the 8, 9, 10-year-old geldings, well, everybody was trying to buy those, and everybody was trying to buy them for themselves to use for recreational purposes or whatever, but also everybody in the sales market was trying to buy those horses for resale. So it kind of made sense to have this shift. We'd kind of had developed our skill set enough to the point where we felt comfortable with the younger horses and being able to handle them and develop them and bring them along. And it just kind of made sense for us. We're like, hey, these younger horses, these nice bred yearlings, 2-year-olds are a little bit more attainable. And I think there's something here. And we kind of tried it and pretty quickly shifted mainly to the yearlings, 2 and 3-year-olds, and it's just worked out. It's fun. I like the young horses. I like bringing them along, and it's just interesting. And then you get a different client. You get people who they're investing in their own future with that horse, whether it's going into like a reining, a ranch riding, rope horse program, cow horse. They're excited about it. And I'm not discounting anybody who's just kind of a hobbyist or anything like that, but there's a different passion from your customer. They're invested into it and they're very much into it. And it's exciting to get them a product that's going to help them develop themselves in their own program. So we kind of like that.
That's so cool. When I was working in Texas, what I always heard about people buying like the young horses is they're literally investing in a dream, right?
Yeah,
you don't
for sure.
know exactly. Like you think you should have a pretty good idea, but that was always something that really intrigued me is these people will spend that money on a dream.
You bet.
Because the young horses, they're just an idea at that point. You're looking at, you're looking at how they're built and how they're bred, and you're hoping that what you see in front of you is going to someday be the dream you want it to be. Mm-hmm. But a big part of that is the effort you put in, how much you believe in the horses that you're buying.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of diamonds in the rough. Like, it doesn't have to be the top modern name brand stud out of the mare that's won 100,000. I mean, sure, on paper, those always are probably better prospects, and maybe they have more potential than the one who's maybe a grandson or by lesser known parentage. But there's so many of those horses that might get overlooked by the very top programs that are just as good or better, even if it's just better minded, maybe not have the ability of some of the others, but a lot of them are still premium horses in their own right, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree completely. And that's one thing that in the industry, I'm like, it's not always, like you said, there's a lot of diamonds in the rough out there that are going to be great at their job. Maybe not fitting in this exact box we want them, but there is a place for them where they are going to shine.
For sure.
So how did you guys kind of get to where you had the 2s and 3s, the younger horses, the yearlings to offer?
Well, I suppose at first we didn't offer them. We bought them for ourselves.
Yeah.
And it just so happened they happened to be at the place when somebody came to look. And, inevitably somebody looks at one and says, well, what's that? And so you tell them, and, the horses that aren't for sale sometimes ended up selling. And, we got to realizing that there was a big market for people who were looking for their next up and coming horse. Maybe they didn't have the budget to spend on that finished horse, or they prefer, just like us, to bring them along from a certain point themselves. There are certain horses that we offer specifically early in the year unstarted, because I know for a fact that they're going to be big program horses and that those guys want to do it themselves. They would prefer to be the first one on them and have all of their work done themselves. And I can appreciate that. I know exactly where they're coming from. So it morphed into that just really from having our own, and then we picked up a couple mares, and, 1 year led to the next, to where we had a couple babies here and a couple of colts here, and we were buying some for us. And, our colt pen got pretty big all of a sudden.
Yeah, you'd either, whether you're at a horse sale or someone's place looking at horses too, and you'd be like, what's that one? And be like, oh, that's a yearling or a 2-year-old or whatever. And by that point, we'd known just enough, like, hey, there's still a market for that. And then it snowballed really pretty fast. And again, it just went back to the fact that we enjoyed them. I liked starting them. It was fun being able to ride the 2-year-old, start it, put 60, 90 days on it, and be like, I started this horse. This is what I've done. This is what they do. The rest is kind of on you. So use good judgment. And it was just fun, and that's why we kept doing it. We enjoyed it. Like, we've always enjoyed the horses, but for whatever reason, it just keeps circling back to the fact that it was fulfilling for us, whether it was working with the young horses and developing them, dealing with our customers, and like you said, they're buying their dreams and their future and investing in that, and it was just exciting for us. And you really felt like you're like, this is where I'm meant to be. This is kind of where it's at for us. It just fit.
Yeah. That's huge. Finding your niche, like what you enjoy, what you're good at, what's working for you. And you can really run with that in the industry when you find your niche, your lane, your spot.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what did you learn along the way when you're buying these younger horses? When you're getting horses that you're riding to turn around, obviously you're going to ride them and do something. What were you doing with the younger horses to make them more sellable, more marketable?
Well, the first thing we do when buying is we would buy something that we wanted. So we weren't shopping specifically for our customers. We were shopping for something that, if for some reason somebody didn't buy this horse from me, is it something that I want to have around? And
you don't want to walk out there and hate them when you out there.
That's a good point.
So I always, and I'm a bit more impulsive than Johnny is. If I liked the horse, I felt comfortable buying it. Whether it, was a top tier prospect or maybe less or so, if I liked the horse in general, because I knew if I liked it, somebody else would like it too. And it's always easier to go out and work on a horse and ride a horse when you already have a connection, you already know you like it, versus one that you're like, man, I really have to go ride that one today. And you're dragging your feet out there because you just know it's going to be tough. And that's not to mean that that's not a perfectly good horse. It just meant that maybe it didn't fit us as well as maybe the next guy. So that was really step one. Make sure we liked it enough to buy it. Yeah. And then from there, we do a little bit of everything. We have a really versatile background as far as what our strengths and weaknesses are. Johnny ropes, I show a little bit. And so when we look at each horse, I don't per se put them in a specific category of like, okay, this one's just going to go cow horse or this one's just going to go rein. I look at them and I'm like, well, probably somebody's going to buy it as a reiner, but we're going to drag a log on it and we're going to ride it outside because our strengths kind of set us up to do a little bit of everything and give it a little bit of that broader base start, so that they can really go in any direction. So right from the get-go, the colts get rode outside. Right from the get-go, they get exposed to a lot of things, inside the arena, outside the arena. They get hauled, and we put hands on them every day. I'm a big believer in turning colts out and letting them be colts, but I'm also a big believer in the fact that they better be pretty happy to see me when I go to grab them. I don't want to have to, we've done that to where you're roping colts out of the round pen, and we still do that. But a big part of it is just making sure that those horses are set up to go into the public. And a big part of that is making them gentle.
They're like kids. Some of them need more attention than others. Some come in just fine temperament wise. Others kind of, maybe they're just a little not as halter broke, not been around people as much. We're raised in the pasture and only saw the feed pickup, and kind of got to get a little bit more hands-on with them, just as far as being okay with approaching them and walking up. We've got a couple other good saddle horses that, we'll work them around and get them leading up horseback. And even if it's not a horse of riding age yet, just them seeing you up above them and all those things that you would do when you do go to start them for their riding career, even doing that as just a yearling, and the steps and you'd take in halter breaking them make a big difference for them just being at ease to be around you and just be handleable. That's the biggest thing. You want to be able to, if you're going to have customers come look at these things, well, they don't need to be jumping to the other side of the pen right when they walk by. It's usually people don't go for those ones. So.
Yeah.
And then just as far as like, our process when buying them, you're evaluating the horse in front of you. I was told you try and look at their feet first and then go up and make sure they're straight, make sure they're conformationally correct, watch them move, evaluate the way they move, look at how they're bred. Is this horse on paper? Is this a reiner? Is this going to be a rope horse? Is this a cow horse? What do I think this is? But then again, going back to the versatility aspect of it, like if it doesn't make a reiner, it'll make a ranch rider, probably make a rope horse too. And just having a plan for each horse, but being able to market it to a couple of different disciplines. And I try not to be like, oh, it'll work for everything, but just try and narrow it down to a few things, 2 or 3, and maybe some of them are truly all around horses that you could go do everything. But for the most part, for them to be really successful by today's standards and whatever it is, the reining, the ranch riding, as a rope horse, they definitely need to check certain boxes. I feel like a big part of it just goes to learning to evaluate how the horse is built, how they move, how they're bred. In our experience from the past, when we had a horse that was like this, who came out, who's our customer, what background did they come from, and just try and figure out a plan for that animal, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And we've had a little bit of a luxury in the fact that we can be a little bit versatile, and that we're not strictly one type of program. Say we have something that's just straight reiner bred on paper, and when we're watching it move, we're like, yeah, that thing's probably gonna want to be a reiner. And then we get it started and we're like, this thing probably isn't gonna want to be a reiner. We have the flexibility to change directions and be like, it's okay. I don't show just reiners. I don't market to just reiners. If my reining horse people aren't going to find this one desirable, that's okay. I can find somebody who is going to appreciate what that horse has going on for itself, rather than try and make a square peg fit in a circle hole. So, and that's really helped us too, because we can read the individual horse and be like, I kind of see the writing on the wall, and I really think this one's going to excel in a different direction than what it looks like it should on paper.
Mm-hmm.
And just the ability to have enough of them around. Like we're not a huge operation, but we can comfortably house 20 to 30 of them between the two of us, and we've got a couple of girls that do some work for us also. But you can't sell from empty shelves theory, and I think that's important to have multiple stalls and keeping them filled. If you can, that's helped us be successful, because there's enough horses for someone to come look at in one place, and there's something for everybody, and you try and set it up that way. Try and have one in each flavor.
And it keeps us too busy to get in any trouble.
I do admire that about your guys' program, because I've seen you guys market cutters, pedigrees, cutting pedigrees, reining pedigrees. I've even seen some running things, I think.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. The huge market for the running breds too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I mean, I bought should have been a Rainer.
Yep.
A rope horse from you guys. And yeah, I think that's really cool about your guys' program is all the different selection that you have. On the note of marketing, I think your guys' marketing is spot on. What was it like learning how to get to that point of the marketing game?
Painful. You fail a lot, and it's not that you're trying to represent horses that have no flaws, that are perfect, but narrowing down what people are really looking for, especially in today's day and age where a lot of people market with flourish.
Everyone took a creative writing class and then gets the pen and the paper out.
So what we tried to do is we tried to learn how to just keep it simple. This is what the horses are. This is their pedigree. This is what I think they're going to be good at. And we tried to get away from over embellishing their backstory, not like...
So people aren't underwhelmed when they come. I mean, if you're representing the next coming of Christ, he better be that when they come out here to look at him. So
I wanted people to be more impressed with the horse in front of them than
they were on paper.
Yeah, impressed by just the ad that we wrote. If my horse can't stand next to this ad and look better than the ad itself, then the ad is wrong. And so it took a while to really workshop that, to figure out what was working right. And then, of course, videos and the pictures, which to anybody who has ever sold horses with a spouse or partner, I mean, there's a reason there's music over the videos, is all I'm saying. And that's because we are not talking kindly to one another at that point.
We laugh because you'll watch the video and see someone's mouth will be moving and be like, oh, I wasn't talking nice then. So.
I'm going to have to watch the videos more closely now because I have this flashback of taking sale photos with my husband, and I'm glad there's no audio and photos because
you want to figure out where the problems are at. Work cows or take sale pictures with your spouse. Yeah.
Yes. I love too. This is a personal brand preference, but I could just be scrolling Facebook, doom scrolling, and I know when it's one of your guys' posts because the pictures look phenomenal, and like you said, the post, not that every post is the same, but it is that very layout, everything straightforward.
Yes.
And I'm you guys have done awesome at, well, I don't know if you did it on purpose, but your personal brand is, I love it because I always know when it's one of your guys' horses.
Thank you. I hear that feedback a lot too, and I think a lot of it's the background and the spot where we like to photograph them. But I think there's a lot of benefit in someone able to, like you said, they're just scrolling through Facebook and that's Legacy Horse Company or Johnny and Mariah's horse right there. And back to again, the ad format, we still experiment with different things, but I think you want to give people enough information, but try and leave them wanting for more to try and get them to initiate some kind of contact with you. And I think that's a big part of the sales process, is getting someone on the phone or getting someone in the messages and being able to have a conversation. And maybe that horse totally isn't right for them, but you've been able to build a little bit of rapport with that person. You've established contact and, shoot them a friend request, be nice. And I always laugh when I see people with these ads, no tire kickers and this. Well, don't do this for a living if you're not ready for people to not be serious. And I get it. I totally understand. Nobody wants their time wasted, but we kind of learn to change our mindset like that, and maybe they'll be a customer 2 years down the road, 5 years down the road, or they're just not ready yet, but you left them with something good feeling about you or good taste, and they want to come back instead of being a turnoff for them and being short or edgy or rude, which I feel like happens a lot when people are contacting sellers about their horse. I mean, again, I see it all over the place, people posting and blasting buyers, and I get it. I've wanted to do it before too, but I think it's important to be friendly, and it's always the person you're this guy's not serious, they're not going to be a horse. Well, they send you money and they come back and buy 5 more that year. So it's I really think trying to treat everybody fairly and like you would want to be treated is important. So
well, and I think a big part of it is too shopping your buyers. One of the biggest things is I always want to get them on the phone, because you get such a better feel for somebody over the phone than you do through messages. There's just no comparing them. And then once I have them on the phone, it's so much easier to know whether the horse they called on is a match or it's not. And these are the reasons why. And so I can go through that process with somebody, and I'll be the first person to talk you out of one, because it doesn't help me if you get a horse home and you don't like it.
Yeah.
You know, our whole business model and reputation comes from people liking the horses that they get from us and coming back the next year to buy more, because we are now the colt program. We have a lot of them, and we're never going to not have a lot of colts. So if you like the colt you got and you started it off, or you bought one that was already riding and you liked what you got, well, we see it now more, like especially this year, where people are coming back buying 2, 3 in the same year, because the colts that they bought the previous years were, exceeded what they thought they were going to get. Mm-hmm. And because I had told them honestly what they were, what to expect. And a big part of that is getting them on the phone and being like, hey, I know you like that filly on paper, but I don't think you'll like her in person. And this is why.
And that could be so, like, maybe it's just the way they move. Maybe it's like that one's kind of waspy, or whatever. It's not always bad reasons per se, but I mean, if you've got one that's jackhammering around out there, well, that's not going to look pretty in the ranch riding, or like that horse really isn't built to stop and turn like you want. And I've got this one, it'll be better, or stay in touch. I'll have something you'll like better soon.
Yeah.
It's not so much trying to talk them out of them, but just being like, hey, this is what I think that horse is. So
kind of like, tell me the picture of the horse's job, of what you're trying to fill, and I'll tell you if I think this one's appropriate. Because there's a lot of ones that, say somebody's calling to look for a head horse that they want to take to the regatta, and they're calling on something that as a 2-year-old's 13-2, and be like, well, I don't think this one's going to be your guy. On paper, absolutely. And I like the horse itself. I don't think he's going to be big enough. And being able to have those conversations and know what they're trying to do with it. And that helps quite a bit.
Yeah.
Mariah jokes, she'll say, well, there's an ass for every saddle, but it's true. That some of them will fit 99% of the people who are calling on them, and others take a little bit more time. But there's always a customer that'll come along and you represent the horse correctly and they buy it and they're happy with it. And again, that's important to us to continue our reputation. So
yeah, I think your guys' program is neat too, because it's literally like full circle. Like you guys named it legacy, and I think even from when I did business with you guys and watching you guys grow, because I have been following you for years, I think it is like a whole full circle. I think that's really cool that you guys have thought about all aspects of it. It's not just like, oh yeah, we have good horses but terrible marketing. You guys have really done a good job of being very well-rounded all the way around.
Well, it's like when you bought whiskey, you had contacted and you said, hey, I need this horse and we're kind of thinking about doing this. And I said, well, I've got a couple coming in. And when he came in, I was like, this is the one. He's big, and even though he's bred to be a straight reiner, there's a lot of options there. Yeah. And I've been absolutely stoked to see your guys' updates on him.
My only complaint is that butthole won't keep his head out of the fence, so I had to give him a bowl cut. He had the longest, prettiest mane. And now, oh my gosh, yeah. We're like,
to be fair, it's a lot less maintenance when it's 2 inches long. His mane was like this long before.
A lot.
I've bought several and kept them in the keeper pen, and they get their tail chewed or their mane rubbed out, and I'm about to be like, you have to sell it now. I don't want it. I don't want a chewed out tail. I don't want a rubbed out mane. It might not have even been their fault, but that's a big pet peeve of mine. I can't stand it.
Yeah. Yeah. Whiskey just had this big bald spot, and then like he just kept, then the rest was thinning out, and I was like, Brian, give me your knife. And he's like, no, you're not. I'm like, give me the knife. And I just whacked it.
Hey,
I'm done.
We're doing it.
Listen, it's hair, it grows back, but I would much rather see the Dutch boy haircut than have 2 foot of mane, nothing, and then 2 foot of mane.
Yep. Yep.
I don't have the patience to braid that and then skip a spot.
Me either. But oh well. He does ride good. We love him though. He's so much fun. What about for like when you guys are marketing the yearlings? Like when I see your guys' pictures, these yearlings are fit. They're usually slick. Do you guys have like a fitting process with the younger stuff? With the unstarted?
Yeah. A big portion of that is just usually getting them on good feed, pulling them out of pasture, getting them cleaned up, and a lot of hands-on. We'll pony the babies, start to put some muscling on. Or we've got some hill pasture, we'll turn them out on the hill and just let them run up and down the hill for a while. I don't want to sail fit one to make it look like a hog that we're trying to market, but I do want them to look naturally presentable, and whether that means that they just have to get on better feed or whether I have to take them off of some better feed.
Deworm them.
Basic care. A lot of these horses are coming from good breeders and they're breeding good horses. And one thing that a lot of breeders do, knowing that they're coming to us, is they don't have to get them out and keep them separate in a pen to try and make them look nice, because that's my job. My job is to make them presentable for everybody else, because not everybody can see through the dirt and the hair.
Yeah.
So
a lot of times we're fortunate enough that they'll come fairly sail fit and ready and slicked off and looking good. But that's, in the winter, if they're in the hair, and get a blanket on them, get their hair laid down, maybe body clip them. You'll have to keep blanketing them, obviously, but we've got a 12-star stall barn that we can kind of close up and keep everyone comfy during the colder months down here. But, keeping a lot of it's just keeping them on good feed, keeping them exercised. Like I said, if they look wormy, get them dewormed and keep them brushed out and looking good. And we try not to overdo it. We did just order a new hot walker. We've got a nice pre-fert walker that's going to be here on Saturday, and that'll be a big help, so you don't have to have someone in the round pen just exercising them. So I think that's just like people, eat good, exercise, and a lot of it takes care of itself.
Yeah. That's cool. Did you guys have a background in that, or was the fitting, the youngsters, the feed, all that, was that kind of learned?
We had to learn that.
And I suppose it just came sort of natural, because I'm a bit neurotic about that anyway, to where I really have high expectations of how my horses look in the barn, how they feel, how they act. And we used to try all sorts of different things, but our feed program has simplified to next to nothing fancy. Our horses are on full feed alfalfa all day, water and a mineral block. I mean, there's nothing extra. Keeping hay in their gut. We've seen a huge reduction of ulcers. We've seen a huge reduction in colic-related issues just by going back to the basics. To where it used to be where I had a feed program formulated and, X, Y, and Z supplements for these ones and that one. And, feed time took 3 hours every day.
Some would eat it, some don't. If you're giving supplements, you look in the bucket and that's all that's left. And you're like, well, I paid a lot of money for that.
And so when we simplified things, I noticed a big change in how my horses looked and how they acted. And so I just took that for what my horses were telling me, and that was what they needed. And so but there was a lot of trial and error at first, because when you think of having sail fit horses or performance horses, you think, okay, well, I want to give them the best of everything. And so you buy what's on the market for the best of everything, and then you realize, okay, well, maybe this isn't working, or this is a waste of money, or I had a lot of horses that I was feeding too hot and they were getting ulcers and stomach issues. And I had to learn that the hard way. My horses, unfortunately, had to be guinea pigs for a while until I got it figured out.
And we're still, it's a lot of trial and error. Talk to people. If someone's got a barn full of slick, beautiful looking horses, be like, hey man, what are you doing here? Give me some pointers. And you learn a lot that way. I mean, most people are willing to share to some degree what's working for them and what's not too. So,
yeah. So Did Legacy Horse Sales, where did it actually start? Did it start there in Dewey, or were you guys starting to build this before you lived in Dewey?
We came up with the name in 2016. Well, that was just it. We came up with a name. We'd had a little bit of traction since when we met, and it was just really a matter of getting yourself out there, right? Like, I mean, it took a few years before there was actual brand recognition there. And that's where I was saying I felt like things really, the big significant uptick was when COVID had hit and we were just selling horses like crazy because that's all people wanted to do was go out and ride and have something to do. And a lot of the brand recognition, we had more horses on the market, more customers selling horses all over the United States. And I think that's when we were like, you know, this is a thing, not just we branded ourselves and put a name on it, but like it's really going somewhere, I guess is what I was trying to say.
And the longer you're in business, the more brand ambassadors you have. You know, the more horses we send out and the more people are having a good time and being successful with them, the more success that we're ultimately going to have. You know, it's not about selling a horse today. It's about the horse I sold 5 years ago that, you know, they showed for this and now their kids are showing in the short stirrup. You know, stuff that, you know, because those horses continue to pay you forward. You know, if they're set up for success and we set them up appropriately with who we sell them to, you know, those are the type of things that really have created the success. You know, because yeah, anybody can be happy with their new horse a week after they get it because it's new and it's shiny. But those horses that are really backing us and have allowed us to move forward are the horses that we sold a long time ago. So we're starting to see a lot of, and that's where the repeat customers come to where, you know, the last 3 they bought from us are all doing well and they want 3 more.
Mm-hmm. That's neat. So when you guys first got started, when was there a point where you're like, okay, we're going full send into this, we're going to take a big jump here? Was there a moment of like that?
There sure was. So maybe it wasn't, there's a specific moment where we were all in.
When we moved from California, sorry, I'm going to take.
No, that's okay.
When we moved from California to Wyoming, I mean, we literally, our son was about to turn 1 year old. So we had a 1-year-old boy, 1 horse to sell, a bred mare, junior.
Yeah, rat horse.
And so we'd had those horses loaded into our trailer and all our furniture and like everything we owned. And we're like, we're all in. This is plan A, plan B, and plan C. Like this has to work out. And we had an opportunity to move out to Wyoming and we took it. And everyone told us we were crazy and shouldn't. And you might want to think about that. And kind of like the it'll never work spiel. I mean, I remember we were on our way up to the Billings horse sale on the phone with our credit card company asking for a credit limit increase so we could go up there and buy horses. I'd signed up for a new business credit card before we moved out to Wyoming, so it was 0% for however long. This isn't financial advice, so anyone listening, I'm not saying this is what you should do. But I mean, as far as like the phrase all in and putting our chips on the table and saying we're going for it, I mean, that's the point in time I think of. And yeah, like I was saying, we were in the truck on our way to Billings in February with a brand new baby. We just lived in Wyoming for 10 days at that point, and we're trying to buy horses on credit. And it had to work out. There was no going back. And I think it was really bold of us, but I think that it helped us quite a bit in being able to make these kind of calculated, risky decisions. Now, we had an idea of the type of horse we wanted to buy and who our customer might be, so there was a little bit more to it. But I mean, yeah, it was our Hail Mary. Like this, we're on our own. This is going to work out one way or another, and it did. So
That is
Well, and I want to probably add this, that anybody who thinks that they want to get into it, it's absolutely achievable and it's obtainable. And the way you obtain it is by struggling. Like there is no way to get into any aspect of the horse industry without struggling and without feeling like you're doing it wrong or you can't make it. And there is so much uncertainty, especially when you're starting out, because again, it's so easy to listen to everybody tell you that it's not going to work.
All the chatter in the background. I mean, if you're hell bent and got a good idea and pretty sure it's going to work, I mean, that's enough to go off of. If you're questioning yourself, I mean, you're already halfway to failure at that point. So I think it's important that we had that mentality, like we're going for it, and I just know this is going to work. It has to work. So
yeah, that is such a cool story. I love that. That's so awesome. Were you two like very much both just like, yep, up the credit cards, we're going?
Yeah, for sure. And they bumped it to like, I don't know, a little over 30,000, and we spent most of it. So.
And like I said, this is not financial advice, because that is scary when all of a sudden, okay, you've got, these living, breathing things that could drop dead the second you get them home.
Yeah.
And you are banking on being able to make them better than when you bought them, and finding somebody who will pay you more than that. And it is a scary thought. And especially when you have it on, creditors sitting over the top of you thinking, okay, well, I kind of hope this goes wrong.
Yeah.
The one horse we'd had brought with us was half snorty and half bronky. He tried bucking you off, and he wasn't bad, but he wasn't good.
He was not
either.
a good sales horse for sure.
So,
and that's why we still had him, is because, when we talk about the number of people that were going to fit a specific horse, he wasn't an outlaw, but only 2% of the population were going to truly get along with him.
Yeah.
And so he was a horse we owned for, I think, 2 years, because you just couldn't find somebody that was going to see through what he was and be able to get along with that. So,
but what we need horses to sell. We didn't have a ton of money. I mean, we just up and moved. We'd sold a ton of stuff to move and to be able to support ourselves for a few months when we got there. And we're like, how are we going to get horses to sell? Mm-hmm. And just got that idea. I'm like, hey, they'll take a credit card. We got a credit card. Let's go for it. And I mean, that's kind of when you approach your spouse about that, you're expecting them to smack you in the back of the head. But she's like, no, I think we should do it. That's a good idea. So,
well, I was like, so long as we're able to make it done, get it done, we can get that credit card paid back off in a timely manner. And
we got a few nice horses bought, sold them, paid that off right away, and freed up some cash to be able to keep looking for more horses to have in the program and build off of that. And we didn't know anybody when we moved to Wyoming. I mean, we knew the lady whose place we moved to, and that was it. So I think that was a real important part, just having to leave your comfort zone in your hometown and your safety net and go somewhere just totally exposed, and being forced to make those decisions, those tough decisions, and to meet people. And we met a ton of wonderful people up there that, gave us opportunities to go day work and get our horses out and exposed and doing some practical ranch work. And just meeting new people in a totally new place. I mean, it blew my mind how welcoming. Even we tried not to tell people we were from California when we moved there. They found out after and were cool about it, but they'd be like, "Where are you from?" And I'd be like, "Well, I don't want to tell you."
Not important.
But I guess it just reinforced that idea. Like, I mean, we were doubting ourselves. I'm not going to lie. When we moved up there, you're like, was this the right decision? When we've got our son's a year old now, and this is crazy just thinking about what we've done, and you're sitting there. But you meet those people and you have those experiences and you make those tough decisions to invest in yourself by whatever means necessary. And it just really solidified, like, this is what we're meant to do together. Mm-hmm. And I think there was a lot of good that came from that part of the struggle.
Yeah.
Now that doesn't mean there's not some days, like when we're photographing, where we're like, I will go get a job at Walmart today, because that's a consistent paycheck. I know when my paycheck is going to get there, but
that, and it never. You still have the self-doubt, and everyone's going to have days like that. But again, it's important to turn back and look at just where you were at 5 years ago, 10 years ago, or even 6 months ago. I mean, and the progress that is built, and you're like, no, we're doing pretty good. So
Yeah. I want to say too, you guys' move to Wyoming, how cool is it that like you guys just had each other? I mean, you just had you and your little family, and you're like, this has to work. It's funny. I just did a Friday reflection recording before we got on, and it was on having positive delusion. How far positive delusion can get.
yes, I love that. I love that.
No, one thing it made us do is it made us grow up. You know, you don't really appreciate the safety net that you have around you in certain places until it's not there. And you realize, you know, if I do truly good and well mess this up, nobody's going to come to save me. You know, we had each other, and we had a couple of the acquaintances we had met out there, but family-wise, I mean, we had family on each coast. Now, that's not to say our families are both extremely supportive. So if we did call them and it was a absolute 911 emergency, somebody'd be getting on a plane somewhere to come scoop us up somehow. But it was also the point that we were trying so hard to avoid the I told you so, you know, because everybody did tell us that it was a crazy idea. And we were like, you know, I would have to be standing here next to a burnt down horse trailer with nothing left before I called somebody to help at this point, because, you know, that's just who I am as a person, I suppose.
Even though, like I said, you had those times where you're like, was this smart to do? There was never the thought of like, we should tuck our tail and go back. Like that was never an option. That was never talked about, never brought up. And I think that was important too, having that determination. Like our eyes are set ahead of us and where we're going, and we are not going to fail. And you know, you'd have to have those days where you look in the mirror and have that conversation with yourself and be like, we, and again, not knowing anybody, you have to present your best face to everybody and the best you. And it makes you, the character development, I guess is what I'm trying to get at, that came along with that move and that removal of any kind of comfortable surrounding really turned you into the best you that you could be.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I love too what you said about it, anyone wanting to get into the horse industry, or even when you guys were like, yeah, there were hard days. No one ever said there wasn't like no one, and I hope listeners, that's my thing, to like, there will be hard days, but when you have your mind set on something, you learn to get through them. Like you're like, yes, okay, that didn't work. We're going to recoup and we're going to do this. And that's it. Like it wasn't a big throw in the hat, throw in the towel.
Yeah. And I mean, there's so many hard conversations, and there's so many of those heartfelt, and, you know, that doesn't mean that we always agreed on everything. I mean, there are certain things where, you know, Johnny and I both feel very strongly about in different directions. And so it was one of those things where the way to get forward was never super clear. We just knew we needed to get there. And
improvise, adapt, and overcome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But the struggling part of it, you know, that if you're not comfortable working hard and you're not comfortable struggling, then it is going to be a hard industry to be in, because I can't think of a single professional in any genre of horse that doesn't have that same sort of backstory, who hasn't struggled to get where they are. And even though, like, with social media the way it is, everybody gets the highlight reel, you know, looking in and seeing, oh, everybody's doing so well. And that's a fantasy in and of itself, because it doesn't matter. Even the guys at the top end of the game, they have their own struggles that people don't get access to. And so it is still that constant everyday struggle for everybody. And that's one thing that we really had to become comfortable with, is knowing that the hard work and the struggle adapt with you as you grow. They don't go away.
You have to be a glutton for punishment to some degree, though, to be able to stick it out and through the rough days. and the commitments that you have to each other, to your horses, and to your customers. I mean, it can be a lot to juggle, and some days it's the most exciting thing in the world, and you're like, geez, I really got this figured out. And then even the very next day, you're like, what the heck are we doing over here? So that it comes with the territory.
I like what you said too about character building, because you have to adapt a lot to become the person you want to be, to achieve the dreams you want. There's a lot of changing along the way.
There's a lot of growing up. You know, Johnny and I got together fairly young. We're raising a family together, which raising a family and doing this is a struggle in and of itself. You know, there's a lot of aspects to being parents and running a business of this caliber that make it hard. And every day you're like, man, you know, it would be easy if we could do X, Y, and Z. But your family life and your business life clash a lot. So it's made us have to grow up as people to where we really understand, okay, some days you're going to drop the ball in some areas. None of us are perfect. There's no way to always perfectly balance everything.
That is a really good point and a really good reminder that you can't be 100% in every single thing every single day.
No, and as a mom, that was tough. You know, I've got my 2 little kids who I am hoping learn to love the horses as much as we do. And it's been fun and it's exciting, but it is a tough juggle being a businesswoman who lives at her place of business, who also has 2 kids around 24/7. You know, it is a harder juggle than I would have imagined. And so I have to give credit to everybody who has big, you know, families and are doing this. The ladies or the fathers that show and bring their kids to the show, I don't understand how they do it. I can't hardly get them to the grocery store. So, you know, that's another aspect that's been challenging and fun to figure out. You know, it's definitely some of those times, and the women in the industry who have kids, I see it a lot. We all have a similar struggle there. So
your guys' did you guys have to have conversations of like whose role was whose in building this, or did it kind of come natural? What did that look like for you guys?
Yeah, both. Mariah took obviously the media side, running the Facebook page, taking the pictures, taking the video. She would ride some of the colts and the younger horses, but that would all pretty much fall under my wheelhouse, which I like doing it anyway. So it was just fitting. And then like with the aged horses, Mariah likes to show. And if we've got something that's kind of fancy and rides around and is that type, she'll go to piloting them around, take them to some horse shows and stuff like that. But yeah, for the most part, you know, there's different things that need to get done regardless, whether that's chores, if we got to clean stalls that day, or feeding, and you just figure it out. You just handle business. There's some things you just know need to get done. And sometimes we'll be like, hey, are you going to do this or am I going to do that? But we're both pretty good about just filling in, seeing what needs done, understanding the basic care, correspondence, whatever it is. But yeah, for the most part, Mariah will run the Facebook page, the Legacy Horse Company page. I'll go to advertising the horses. I'll write a lot of the ads and steal her good pictures and go to putting them on Facebook. And then we'll both do a little bit of the customer correspondence. But yeah, there's certain things that would fall under each of us.
A big piece of being married and in business together is learning when your ego is talking. Because there are certain things that say I'll want to accomplish that in essence it would be easier for everybody on the property if, say, Johnny was to handle it that day. And in the beginning it was hard because I would be like, but I want to do it. And so learning that balance of, yes, I might want to do it, but I don't need to do it. And so being able to step back and be like, okay, if we want to be efficient, if we want to get things done, then this is really the the organization of how we have to do it. And so learning to step back and look at it from a wider frame picture is a little bit easier now than it used to be. Because it used to be, especially in the beginning, to where you're like, well, I want to go do all the exciting things. Like, I mean, I think anybody can kind of realistically look at that and be like, yeah, I get it. I wanted to go show all the horses. I wanted to go to, pick up all the, go on all the transports and drive across the country. And realistically, that just wasn't my role at the time. And so it's getting easier for me to figure out. And again, as the family morphs, my role changes with it. And so being able to step back and take that as, some of the exciting stuff that we should be doing or that I want to be doing is not as productive as it could be, and learning to be okay with that.
Yeah.
Running a business isn't always fun.
Mm-hmm. That is very true. It's hard. Like you said, it can be hard to be human and take that step back and be like, okay, big picture, this is what we need to do.
You have to figure out how to put your family first, and your relationship with each other. I mean, things have to be good there for you to be able to be a good parent and to be good for your horses and for your customers. You got to be in the right frame of mind. But you learn to embrace each other through it all. I feel like is a big important part of it, and apologize quickly, always give credit where credit's due. And I mean, this is both of us all in together. It's not one or the other. This was both of our dream, both of our idea, both of our goal. And obviously there'd be things that come up where there's, hey, maybe we should do it this way, and try and be open-minded and not just be like, no, we're doing it this way and that's that. I think that's really important. And it makes you closer, I feel like, too.
Yeah.
And that we work together, we raise children together, we are around each other just about 24 hours a day. And I can tell you,
she doesn't miss me when I leave to go pick up a load of horses.
We absolutely fight like cats and dogs, because it's almost inevitable when you're around somebody that much. Yeah. But I think it's coming back from that quickly and realizing, like, hey, yeah, we're frustrated about X, Y, and Z. But at the end of the day, my frustrations aren't bigger than what we are. So I'm not telling anybody that go out there, run a business with your husband, wife, spouse, partner. It's going to be lovely, because it's
not for everybody.
I would have probably a much easier time taking criticism or suggestions from literally anybody on the planet, and this, especially riding wise. I think once you have seen somebody naked, you are no longer able to coach them in any capacity. Because I'll be on horseback and I could have somebody, complete stranger, come up and say, hey, if you change this, it'll work better. And I would try it and have a good attitude about it. If Johnny said it, I would throw my sucker in the dirt and I would probably say bad words. And so it's not easy. Working with your spouse is tough.
Yeah.
But it's fun also.
Yeah. I love the honesty.
No comment.
Troy's like, no, it's perfect. It's great.
Everything's fine. Blink twice if I hit you.
Yeah, blink if you need help.
And it's weird too, because it is fun, and not a lot of you get to really trying to be open-minded and seeing what other people do, and nothing against anybody working a desk job, but we're really lucky and blessed to be able to have the lifestyle that we do, to be able to be home all day. If our kids need us, they can come out and they have access to us. We're not tied up or overly tied up, and we have each other. And some days you take that for granted. It's tough not to, but I think it's really important to anybody who is doing this as a husband-wife team or as a family, that you're very lucky, and a very small percentage of people who get to live their life that way. And you have to go back and remember that and kind of be like, I better start acting right. So.
Well, and through all the struggle, I mean, you come back to, we started doing this because the horses were important to us. Mm-hmm. And it's the horses that make our day-to-day life hard, because, you know, you don't get a day off and you don't get to take vacations, and you have to be here around the clock, because the second I walk off this property, something's going to be cast in a fence or colicking or, you know, loose on the neighbors. But that's the whole reason why we started it in the first place. You know,
it was our passion. That's what we grew together and to love each other. It was always the horses is what brought us together, and it was always, and it still is really exciting. But in the beginning, especially, I mean, there's this new person, and we're spending a lot of time with each other, going out riding and getting to buy horses and travel and all the things anyone would love and dream about being able to do with their significant other. I mean, we got to do that and get to do that today. So
yeah, I love that. I love the recognition there. It takes a special person to be an entrepreneur and to a really special one to do it with your spouse.
We're special.
Yeah.
You guys are
I'm special, but not different kind of special ed.
Oh, let's see. Goodness gracious. If you guys could go back and give yourself advice, what would you tell yourself?
That's a tough one.
I think going back to like any kind of self-doubt and questioning yourself, just be like, it's all going to be fine. It's going to work out. It's going to be okay. I mean, we're workers. We know what needs to get done and get stuff done. And there's going to be busy periods and slow periods. And it's real easy to ride out the highs and kind of be like, yeah, this is great. This is bitching. We got it going on. And then and it's not even really a downside. It's just a normal part of any kind of business cycle or whatever. But to just do what you can today in the moment to make your horses better, make your business better, to work better with your spouse, and not worry so much about 6 months down the road, a year down the road, 5 years from now, whatever. And not that you shouldn't plan for the future, but it'll drive you crazy thinking about where you want to be, and you know, you're at where you're at today, and don't let thinking so far out get you in such a tight chest today that it takes away from what you're truly able to accomplish and get done, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's good.
That's try not to compare. Everybody's at a different stage. Everybody's, whether they're starting or they've been going for decades.
And social media makes that tough. It's real easy to do now, comparing yourself to the rest of the internet. Again, you're only seeing their highlight reel, and you can start hanging your head pretty quick. But that's not you. That's someone else's program. And
yeah. And I think a big one is God does have a plan for us. And I wish 10 years ago that I could be able to tell myself that, because I am a stubborn person, and there were plans that we were trying to make and things that we were trying to get done, and God was very clearly slamming that door in our face.
a lot of things didn't work out that
A lot of things.
you hated at the time, like why isn't this happening, why won't this work, whether it was trying to get a place or whatever it was, and then things go a different way and you're like, man, that really worked out for us.
Yeah. Hindsight's obviously 2020, and looking back, I see the places where God guided us, and in the places where there's those doors closed and I was sitting there scratching at the window, still trying to get after what I thought was the correct route. And that route was so closed off and so hard for us to access. And looking back, I wish I spent less time trying to make those things happen, because had I been more accepting of the 180 that I was being pushed towards, I would have noticed that the door behind me was completely open, and it led to something better than I had imagined.
Wow. Yeah. Love that. That's great advice. That's so solid. Did you guys mean to get to Dewey, Arizona? Was that your plan, or how did you guys get to Dewey?
No, we were looking for a place in Wyoming, and we really wanted to be up there, but you needed indoor to be in the horse business year round. And we were leasing a place that had a beautiful indoor arena, and we were there, but we were just wanting something of our own. We were wanting to buy a place, and we looked and looked at a few places, and there was either a hole in the roof and snow coming through it, or it was just way out of your price range, or to build one was like crazy, $750,000 just for the shell of the building you wanted. And
So when we started shopping is right when COVID hit, unfortunately for us. And so a lot of what we were seeing is we were first-time home buyers looking to buy a place that was big enough for us to run our business and have a horse facilities. And that was already a big enough ask up in Wyoming, where the rural properties are obviously easy to come by, but you did need those indoor training facilities for what we had imagined our life being. And so because COVID hit at that same time, you saw a huge jump of people moving from the Colorado area up into Wyoming, one, chasing the politics, and two, sitting in a different tax structure. So they could buy in, Southeast Wyoming there.
No state income tax.
And work in Colorado. So while we were looking at those places, I mean, there would be places that hit the market that we would go to look at same day. And by the time we got done with our showing, there was already an offer with 50 over cash. Wow. And that's just not something that we were able to compete with. And so that was one of those spots where I really wish that I didn't work so hard against where God was trying to push us. Yeah. Because it did turn out that, we did end up in Arizona, and this is not something that we had ever even talked about. But an opportunity came up to buy this facility, and we said, you know what, clearly it's not working up here for what we want, and this feels right. And so we pulled the trigger, and here we are. And had I done as much digging into this as I had into those Wyoming places, I would have never purchased this place. And I'm so glad that I didn't, because this is exactly where I was meant to be. And I feel like our roots are going to be pretty deep here.
Yeah.
Like, you couldn't pick a better location, too. I mean, we're an hour and a half from Wickenburg. We're an hour and a half from Scottsdale and Rio Verde. You're close to California. It's a day drive to get to Texas. I mean, as far as proximity, being close enough to where all of the main happenings of the horse industry are going on, aside from being in North Texas, but that's a whole different ball of wax being out there. Yeah. It's been a blessing for us. And the way our place is set up, we back up to a ton of state and BLM land. We can get our 2-year-old started, put a couple rides on him in the arena, and open the gate and go trot him around through some sandy wash and some hills. And not everyone has access to that kind of outside riding right off their place. So it's been a really good fit for what we do and what we like, and for our family. And we're 15 minutes from town and all the amenities. But yeah, I really think that you couldn't pick a better location for Legacy Horse Company.
Yeah.
Having the access to year-round riding that's pretty pleasant is very nice. And it's not something that we really considered before. As far as we were concerned when we were up in Wyoming, I mean, we had to work pretty hard to get out of Wyoming, because we were convinced that that's where we wanted to be. And to this day, when it's nice in Wyoming, it's heaven on earth. But now that I live in Arizona and we ride colts all winter long, it's pretty nice not to deal with 60-mile-per-hour winds.
Yeah.
You used to be putting a first or second ride on a colt, and the wind would be blowing so hard that whole building would shake, and it would scare you, and it'd dang sure scare your horse, and you were puckered up and million layers on, looking like the abominable snowman. And it was fun. I'm glad we did it, and I'm glad we got
feeding with ski goggles on, because the alfalfa was blowing back to your face so hard, and you're trying just not to go blind.
Yeah. I'd trade the couple warmer days in Arizona for that anytime.
You bet.
Yeah, and we lucked out where we are. We're kind of in that perfect middle zone to where it's pretty temperate. We don't get too hot in the summer, and we don't get too cold in the winter. We still get snow, but it's what I'll term as cute snow. Comes straight down to the ground, and we get a couple inches, and it's usually gone in a day or two. So I can't complain about that.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. So what's next for Legacy Horse Company? Continue to do what you're doing?
Yeah, I think there's no big master plan at this point other than to continue on and see organically where it wants to take us.
We've got a stud. He's a Shiner's Voodoo Doctor out of a good Magnum Chick Dream mare, and we want to stand him. He's just a 2-year-old right now. I've got maybe 60 rides on him, and he's coming along really good. We like him. We call him Magic, and we'd like to stand him to the public. We had just hell breeding mares and keeping our mares bred, and Mariah's like, I want to buy a stud, and I'm like, okay.
So we do have some show aspirations for him over the next couple of years to get him proven. And we've got some other horses we'd like to show alongside him, just sort of branch out that way again. I like showing horses. It's something that's been difficult to get back into with the kids. But it's something where I think we're going to start heading that way again. So I think organically it's just going to grow the way it wants to grow. I don't think there's anything specific that we're looking at as like a 10-year benchmark where we're like, yeah, I really want to have this. What I want to have is I want to have a bunch of really nice horses, and I want to have fun having them, and I want to be able to have my kids have fun having them too. I don't want it to get to the point where they're so over looking at the horses every day that, which, it is a big chore. So I just want to see us grow and stay happy with the growth.
I think, like I said, we've got the stud, and we want to add a few more mares on, and just getting a better product. Like, you're always in search of the next, up and coming prospects, and getting a better quality in the barn is always fun and exciting, and sometimes expensive and scary. But it's nice having the horses everybody wants, and driving home with them, you're like, man, everybody's going to want this one. And I think it's good just for the business and keep people coming through the barn and wanting to shop with us. So,
yeah, that's awesome. Well, I think you guys are doing a great job, and excited to keep watching you.
Well, I'm excited that we had a chance to come on here and talk because I've been watching. So I'm going to have to get one of the cool shirts.
Yeah. I'll bring you guys something when we get back to Arizona.
You bet.
We actually drove through Dewey, and we bought whiskey from you, and I was like, Brian, we should just text him and see. And Brian's like, no, you don't do that. That's boring.
Hey, you guys come on by. Come see us.
I always tell people we're always here because we've got too many critters to ever leave. So anytime you're swinging by, you just pull right off. We're not that far off the highway.
Yeah, I'll have to. But I really appreciate you guys taking the time to come on, and I'm excited to share your guys' story. And I know you're busy, so thank you for taking some time out of your day to chat with us.
Thanks for having us.
Yes. And then also, very important, if people want to find you, where can they find you guys? Website, Facebook?
So the easiest way to find us is go through Facebook, Legacy Horse Company. We also have an Instagram. And then there's a website as well. But Facebook is usually the easiest way to go. I try to post daily media to keep us somewhat relevant.
The current happenings.
And it's a good way to find kind of what we're doing, what we're about. And just like you said, it's a good way for people to kind of check us out before contacting. If they want to see everything that we're doing, they have a lot to choose from to go back and look and make sure that they're happy with what we're doing with our horses. So it's a really good way to check out the whole program, start to finish.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, we'll tag it in the the description below. And yeah, is there anything else you guys want the people to hear?
I don't know.
Just
I can chat it up with you. I don't know. No, just go for it. I mean, if you want to be a part of the industry, whatever part that is, I mean, don't ask anybody's permission. I mean, start start with what you got, with where you're at, and do what you can to try and meet people, try and network. And I mean, you're going to get a lot of no's, but you're going to get a lot of yeses from places you wouldn't expect and from people you might not have expected. There's a lot of people that are willing to help. If you can just show to whatever degree that you're worth it, given the investment of a knowledge or a job, whatever it is. I mean, don't be afraid. If that's what's holding you back, I mean, get rid of that right now and go for it, because you'll be amazed at how far you can go by just not taking no for an answer.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important, and been what's been an important part of our lives individually and together is just don't settle for anything less than what your dream is.
Yeah.
And to add on to that really quick, I'd also say keep respect in mind. You know, every single person that you deal with in the industry, doesn't matter, top, bottom, side to side, has a part to play in your journey. And don't treat anybody like they're too little to talk to, and don't feel like anybody's too big to go to for advice. You know, there's a lot of power in words, and there's a lot that you can take from every interaction.
Both good advice. I mean, you guys could start an inspiration line if you, with all your spare time.
I'll get the t-shirts going.
Yeah, there you go. Bumper stickers too.
Bumper
There you go.
Yeah. That is so.
Don't put them on the truck. No.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys again for joining us. This conversation, there's so much good stuff here. So thank you guys for being open, and yeah, best of luck on everything going forward.
No, thank you for the opportunity to talk, and we look forward to seeing it.
Thanks, Crystal.
You're welcome. Thanks for riding along with me on another episode of Horses, Hope, and Hustle. If you found a little bit of inspiration or grit here today, share it with a friend, leave a review, or tag us on socials. The mission of this show has always been simple: to build a community of genuine horse people, a place to connect, support one another, and help each other succeed. But this isn't just a podcast anymore. It's a place where everyone has a seat at the table, and we want you there. So get on over to horseshopeandhustle.com. If you own an equine business or host events, you can get listed in our directory, where listings start for free. And subscribe to our weekly newsletter, where we highlight businesses, events, and opportunities right here within our community. And remember, keep showing up for what truly matters. Until next time, stay true, stay tough, and keep hustling.